the way I boil it down for people is I just say like, what goes up will come down, that whole thing. What goes down will come up. That's how I say it.
Oh, nice.
Right? It will come up, and it'll come up in ways you don't
Save
want
that,
it to.
Isaac.
It may not
That's
come up
really
in ways
good.
that you want it to, right? And I think like it can either be like just going down that same path, like you said, or a total reaction, but you're not living kind of out of an awareness, right? And so again, it's the time in your life that you want to say like, this is what happened to me when I was 16, or this is what happened to me over the course of my childhood.
Yeah.
And I need to, first of all, kind of recognize that and be real about it. And then second of all, figure out what I want to do. Maybe it's counseling. Maybe it's just like a journey of self-discovery or like a group that you join. Sometimes it's as simple as like just being open and honest with your people that you're, in relationship with your friends. Like, hey, this happened to me when I was a kid. And, a lot of times that in and of itself can be healing. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if we don't, then we're going to start making decisions
Yep.
that are going to be somehow driven or based off of that.
Yeah.
And we may have to unwind those later.
Yeah.
Which could be career decisions, could be
Or
relationship decisions.
blow them up later. Yeah.
So I love this. It's kind of this, let's make sure that we've got that good foundation kind of covered. Okay. All right. So that's our 20s.
So we made it. We made it out of the 20s.
We made it out of the 20s. Now we celebrate that big 3-0 birthday.
Yeah.
Big 3-0. What are some things that when you think about 30s, that kind of you characterize that decade by?
Achievement would be kind of the first kind of big thing that comes to mind. And to me, honestly, I think that's great. And I embrace it and I welcome it. And I think it's a good thing to say, like, this is the decade where I'm going to focus on, like, nose to the grindstone. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to achieve, right? It's also the decade your metabolism really starts slowing down, which is always a rude awakening. It's like, wow, I used to be able to like eat all of that. And yeah, so that's a 30s thing.
Yeah.
It sneaks up on you quick.
Did
these pants shrink? Like, what the heck's going on?
I totally get it. Get it. So then we have to be more thoughtful about exercise and health.
You got to start being mindful of that. Yeah, you can't bounce back like you could in your 20s, kind of in every kind of physical way for sure, right?
Yeah.
That's a real thing. But again, that achievement piece, if you're focused, you're beginning to achieve, you're beginning to get looked at for promotions. You've got a resume, you've got a track record, you've, hopefully achieved a few things. And so you're starting to build that path and you're on that path. So, and again, I think some people maybe look down on that, or, I just say embrace that. You're in your 30s, like go, achieve, do it.
Yeah.
It's also the time that many people start having kids. A lot of people start having kids in that decade. And so I think there's kind of a beginning of accepting where you're at in your life that I think can be challenging for a lot of people. My kids are a little older now, so we have a little more kind of flexibility and wiggle room to do things. But I'll go to like a Gate City Brewery here in Roswell where I live, and, I'll see like parents with their toddler or their like little baby. I'm like, okay, you haven't accepted the fact that you have a baby now. Like, it's cool, you're here, welcome, you're welcome. But it's like, it's okay. It's okay to be at home and like being in that point in your life. So
yeah.
So acceptance that you've said yes to some things, which means you maybe need to start saying no to some other things, right? So.
Yeah. So I think, oh man, there's a lot here. So I'm gonna label our 20s as the exploration.
Yeah.
Because I think you're exploring a lot, doing introspective work if necessary. Mm-hmm. And even in a career standpoint, it's very common and natural and normal to switch jobs every 2 to 3 years.
Yep.
And that's often today, that's how people get raises.
Yep.
Because they can get higher raises and increases if they're hopping every 2 to 3 years.
That's right.
You can't do that in your 30s. Because you're still doing that in your 30s, people are going to say, we can't. Yeah. We don't want to hire you. Look at your
sketchy vibes.
There's like six jobs you had in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think we want to be the seventh. So I think you guys start to kind of commit to something, and that's where growth comes in. So we could also maybe label it as growth and commitment to a certain degree, right? Because you're saying, all right, we're gonna have a family. We're gonna start growing both personally and professionally.
Yep.
And I think that's important. And I love the fact that it means you've got to start to say no to some stuff because our plates are getting fuller.
Yep.
I had this was a McKinsey consultant I talked to years ago. He had 4 kids. Mm-hmm. And if you know much about McKinsey consultants, they think in charts and graphs. Like their entire brain is nothing but charts and graphs
Yeah.
because they're always showing models and frameworks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I love my McKinsey friends, by the way.
Yeah.
So he had 4 kids. So he immediately pulls out a piece of paper and he draws an X and Y axis.
Uh-huh.
He's like, okay, your X axis is kids. And he ticks off 4. Tick, 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 tick. He might have ticked off 5. And then your Y axis is chaos. Okay. And so he says, you have your first kid, and it goes, whoop. Like, it's pretty chaotic. Like, this is weird. Like, I got diapers. And then this, every kind of bodily fluid is coming out of them onto me.
Yeah.
At any given time, but you figure that out. And then he says, then you go to the second one. It goes, boop, it goes higher again. And he says, okay, he says, that's also hard. And from my experience, the big difference between 1 to 2 was our mobility dropped like a rock. You can't just take them, put them on your lap and go someplace,
That's right.
you know? And then he goes, boop, then you go to 3. Again, another big kind of a little bit of a jump. And then that, for me, that was when it's all scale issue.
Uh-huh.
We had to get rid of the sedan and get a minivan because you can't put 3 car seats in the back seat of a sedan.
You can try. We did try, but you have to go both doors at the same time. Like,
yes, I don't know how you did it because like we couldn't figure it out. So we're like,
1, 2, 3.
because we got to, you know. And so then he goes, and then once you get to 4, it kind of flattens out and he draws this line right across, this horizontal line that goes all the way across. He's like, it doesn't matter. 4, 8, 10, it's the same. Yeah. You've reached maximum chaos.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's like, but I think that's that season, the 30s, is when you're doing all that. And for us, when our kids were 0 to 4, for me, that was like the hardest time because I hardly even remember those years because you were sleep deprived and you're trying to balance all the demands because you're growing lots of things at the same time.
Yep. It is, yeah, you're trying to achieve, you're trying to provide for this kind of group of like little humans, and that is a really challenging time. I've got 4 kids as well, so
you've reached maximum chaos.
It is, but now that they're a little older,
you need to have like 4 more.
Yeah,
because really,
and
according to the model,
see what happens.
It's like the same.
We need to overlay. What's the third axis of money? Because it's like, or whatever.
That's a good point. Well, that's also I think what makes the 30s so hard is you're not at your highest earning potential. So you're barely getting enough to kind of pay for all the stuff that you're doing. You're growing, but you're not necessarily reaping the rewards of that quite yet.
I remember being told about how much I should be saving for retirement when I was like 31, and I'm like, and now I will kill you because like no.
I totally agree.